fine. So sad. I feel like I read a lot of good books this month. That's about it. I have it on my Fable app. Just started using Fable, by the way. Again, for like the 3rd time. Where's my... How do I work this? Over here. Did I have any bad books this month? Yeah, I did. Oh, I did. Okay. I forgot about that. I did have quite a few. I was all over the place this month between audiobooks, ebooks, physical books, NetGalley arcs, books I liked, books I didn't like, fantasy books, romance books, books supposed to be more spicy and then not. You know, I was everywhere. Hello. Don't make sound. This month's reading was full of twists, turns, and surprises. Let's check out the books that I could not stop reading and the ones I wish I had. So I dived into Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Now there's a lot of mixed reviews on this. Some people like it, some people don't, but here's my opinion. The cover of this book is so cute. I loved it. I love the cartoon, but at the same time, you don't know what's actually in this book. Love it. This is my first book that I've ever read about aquatic sports. So this is technically a sports romance. It's set in college sports about a swimmer and a diver. Lucas, our world champion swimmer, is recently single due to his ex not being into the spicy things that he's into. Even so, they still remain really good friends, and Penn is also best friends with our FMC, Scarlett. Penn gets a little tipsy and basically outs her bestie's bedroom habits to Lucas, and she's like, you know what? I think you guys should hook up. Awkward. Scarlett is not only a talented diver, she is also very smart. So she ends up in a research program as a junior, whereas Lucas is already assigned to the program as a senior. So after spending a little bit of time together, they're finally like, should we experiment? So they create a list of goes and no-goes and they find their way. Lucas's character, I think, was so great. He was very blunt, and I don't think Lucas ever held back, and I love that about his character. He even told Scarlett that when he was exploring his sexuality with Penn, he requested her. He wanted her. Even if it's just because of where he came from, it's very good to see an MMC who is actually really good at communication. From day one, they were very set on what their relationship was going to be. I also really enjoyed how real Scarlett's character was. Between her going to her therapy session, the way she's dealing with her PTSD, the dark humor that she has about it, and while she's very open, she's also still very reserved, trying to keep those parts of her fears, to herself. I feel like a lot of people who have problems with this book are just set on the fact that this was supposed to be super spicy BDSM kind of novel, and I don't really think the book is actually advertised like that. I feel like the book is adequately advertised as exploring boundaries. Onto my little pet peeves and the reason I did not give this a 5-star. There should have been a little bit more of that content. The content was very vanilla compared to what they were wanting. However, I do recognize that these characters were still very young. They're still 21, 22. And then secondly, the flip up between Penn's character is the most aggravating thing about this story. I do recognize it has its place, but it was so annoying. That being said, I originally rated this a 3 out of 5 stars, but I have recently bumped it up because I do recognize that this book is spot on for what it was advertised. And I really did enjoy how authentic Scarlett's character is. So yes, bumped it up to 4 stars, and it is 4 on the spice scale. It is a spicy book. Is it dark spicy? No, but it's fine. A Touch of Golden Madness by K.L. Devore. I did not like this book. I will not be continuing this series. This is a dystopian, post-apocalyptic, dark romantasy. Basically, you have your kinetic magic users and your elemental magic users, and then you have your humans who are caught up in the middle of it all. So the kinetic princess is sent out on a mission to off the elemental prince, who, by the way, is literally going mad. Yeah, has voices in his head telling him to off people daily so he can stay sane. So when he finds out that the kinetic princess actually silences that voice, he wants to keep her around. Both characters have very traumatic past. Please read your trigger warnings. There was so much going on in this book that I listed plot twist under both negative and positive. The plot twist and the magic system are the only things that kept me going in this book to finish it. But there were so many plot twists, it gave me whiplash. The magic system though, top tier. This book actually leaves me with way more questions than I have answers that I do not care to continue to read to find out. I kind of wish I DNF'd the book and didn't waste my time. I feel like this book missed several rounds of editing that would have been necessary to make it better. This book does absolutely have potential. It just isn't there yet. The dialogue for almost every character who is not the MMC is absolutely cringe. This book is supposed to follow the FMC mostly, yet her character is so annoying. I feel like all the time was spent on the MMC, who was great by the way, that the FMC got very neglected. The spice in this book was so awkwardly placed, I don't even know what to say about it. The names in this book drive me mad. The elementals were all named after elements, which is cool and all. I get the point that the author was trying to make with the names. I just don't like it. It's not for me. You might as well have named one rock. The worst names you could think of to name these characters. Cobalt, Fire, whatever, Gray. The main character's name is Gray. I liked when the MMC was named Griffin. Griffin was okay, but then of course he didn't keep that. The magic system though is top tier. So unique. The magic system is the only reason that this book is getting 2 stars from me. I hope that the author's future works are a lot better because this magic system was so good. I listed way more negatives than I had positives. I would give this about a 3 or 4 on a spice scale. It does have spice. Would I recommend this book to others? No. Of course, with my obsession with My Fault London, I'm continuing the Culpable series with Your Fault. Noah is finishing up high school and dealing with the fact that she lost her father. In the last book, it definitely seemed like the parents were going to be on board with the relationship. Now it seems like the parents are both actively doing everything in their power to keep Nick and Noah apart. I don't like how the parents leveraged Noah's future on her relationship with Nick. I definitely think there could have been something more well thought out for that. Like, that was extreme, but I guess the book would have no plot otherwise. This book is all miscommunication. This book was super whiny. I feel like Noah had a lot of healing to do, and I also feel like Nick just doesn't understand that. I also feel like the way that Nick blew up over his mom was kind of annoying because he was wholeheartedly making plots to lie to Noah, and then he expected her to just forgive him. I don't really see what Noah did as a horrible thing. There was so much, like, they were happy and then they were not happy and then they were happy and then they were not happy. It was just so annoying. Like, talk about whiplash. This is another book that gave me whiplash. Noah is the younger one. However, Nick is literally acting like a teenager. He flies off the handle every 2 seconds. He was over here plotting lies to give Noah, and he's like, yeah, that'll work. Honestly, it's kind of realistic when you think about 20-something-year-old males, but it's still very annoying to see in a book. Now, while I do say that the book is super whiny, I do realize that Noah's character is very spot on. I do like the emotions that she's going through, the way that she's figuring out how to cope with the things that she's seen or things that have happened to her. I do like that. I do think it's very on point for her character. I'm just very frustrated with Nick's character. He's supposed to be older than her. He's supposed to be, I wouldn't say have his shit together, but he's definitely supposed to be more put together than her. And in reality, he is just messed up. He talks her into going to therapy when this man needs more therapy. I was honestly more interested in what was going on with Lion and Jenna than I was Nick and Noah. About this much of the book is miscommunication and arguments. You could literally get away with reading the last 4 or 5 chapters and completely skipping the rest of the book. The only thing that I wrote down for my list of positive things about this book is that I finished it and I can move on to Our Fault. Wait, what happened to the cat? She moved back in the dorms. Where'd the cat go? I gave this book a 2 out of 5. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I would probably recommend you reading like this much of it and you'll be fine. Move on. Just read the end. You'll be fine. I gave it about a 1 on the spice scale. It wasn't super spicy, but it did have some spice in it. I don't really have anything else to say about this. I'm just glad I can move on. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey Mcquiston. I actually got this book a long time ago as a blind date with a book from the Ripped Bodice in New York City, and I finally got to it. I am such a sucker for a love story with a prince. Obviously, the movie has been out for a while now. This is a queer romance surrounding Alex, the son of the first female president, and Prince Henry, a Prince of England. Alex is expected to be a good boy as his mother is going up for re-election in the United States, but his pure disdain for the youngest Prince of England leaves him and the prince both buried under a very expensive wedding cake. No, really, the cake fell on them. Now Alex must smooth over the situation by pretending to be best friends with Henry, who he can't stand. But somewhere along the way, he learns that the prince isn't just stuck-up royalty. This book is so funny. I laughed outwardly so many times while reading this. I've been wanting to read it ever since the movie came out. The movie was adorable. This is better. I'm the type of person that likes the TV show or the movie just a little bit better because I could see it come to life. However, this book was so much better than the movie. I think one of the reasons I didn't like the movie as much as the book is because I found out they deleted very important characters. I love the amount of self-discovery on both ends of this relationship. Alex more so because he was just kind of oblivious to his whole situation. Henry kind of already knew his situation, he just couldn't come out with it. Not only that, this book touches on so many different real world situations. Obviously, you've got politics, you've got sexuality, race, fame, sense of duty, loyalty, and that's what makes these books so much more enjoyable, that little hint of reality. Alex's mom is one of my favorite characters in this book. I love when she asks him, do you feel forever about him? I love that she takes the time to put aside her job to actually talk to her son and make sure that he was okay first. I do love Alex's exploration of his own identity. However, at times he seems so naive of himself, which was a little strange. The phone call with his little fling back in like high school was hilarious. I do kind of wish there was just a tad more from Henry. I feel like his point of view, it was so much more poetic and emotional. I loved his emails. They were so deep. His emails to Alex were perfection. I feel like on my list of positives and negatives, the only thing that I wrote down for like negative was the scene with the Queen. That was so cringe. But overall, I do rate this a 4 out of 5 stars and a 1 on the spice scale. It wasn't super spicy, but it was super cute. Sparrow and Vine by Sophie Lark. Now, I did receive this as an e-arc from NetGalley, which I'm super grateful for. I do realize that the book has been now pushed back due to the controversy surrounding it. There is fixing some things about the book. That being said, I did get it on NetGalley, and to keep my percentages up, I still read it. The story is about a winery, Sparrow and Vine, created by the Beaumont family and the Sparrow family. Many years down the road, this winery is run down, and the only way to save the winery is for someone in the family to get married. So Monroe, the youngest of the Beaumonts, and Sadie, the youngest of the Sparrows, rashly get married under the terms that they will save their winery that they love, and eventually they'll split ways and be done with each other. Of course, that doesn't happen. What good love story would it be if they don't fall in love? In the author's controversy apology, she described Monroe as this very flawed character. However, I don't see his character as much flawed as Sadie's. Sadie is a mess. She wants to take over this winery, but she has had no hand in the running of the business portion of it. She just wants to keep it. I understand her wanting to keep the winery due to sentimental reasons, and this has been in her family for generations now. But she was very naive on how to run it in general. Like, she's never had a hand in the business portion, and she just thinks that she's going to up and run it. And obviously she finds out that that's not how it works. But I do like the growth in her character, the research that she does in order to get smart on those kind of things. I really love how trusting she is of Monroe early on, and that never really faltered for her. But Monroe's switch up in the beginning, because he definitely called her sisters hot in the very, very early portion. And then he's just all puppy dog for Sadie after that. I think this is definitely different from a lot of other Sophie Lark books. I've read her whole Brutal Birthright series and I loved it. It's definitely very different from this series. I have high hopes for the series. It's cute, it's lighthearted. I think once she fixes everything, it's going to have the reaction she was hoping for. It is a very cute story. One other thing I really didn't like was the mention of Elon Musk being the inspiration. Obviously, that's another taboo subject, and I feel like it shouldn't have been in the book at all, but she put it in there. Hopefully she takes it out. And the other minor issue I have with the book is the peak, the highest conflict point is where the brother and the mother come and try to trick Sadie into signing over the winery. Forging of the documents, are you kidding me? And I think that portion was poorly written. I feel like it could have been better. I think once she fixes the controversial parts and takes those out, this will be a great book. But for now, it's going to stay at a 3 stars. I would recommend it if the controversial parts are not there. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Haymitch's story is finally here. This has an all-star cast. All your favorite characters. Finally meet Katniss's parents, get more into Beattie's lore, Mag's lore, Wyrus's lore, Madge's aunt. There's so much connection in this book. This book follows Haymitch through the 50th Hunger Games, the Quarter Quell, where this time there is 24 tributes. Haymitch has only done whatever he can to support his mom and brother through his whole life. Of course, in District 12, things are not easy. Haymitch has done everything he can possibly do to support his mother and brother. Now, he does have a love interest, Lenore Dove. Haymitch steps in to protect her from the Peacekeepers and finds himself in the Hunger Games. I think the biggest message in this book is about how rigged the Hunger Games is. Haymitch is reaping, Beattie's son, and a lot of others. You also get a further look into Snow and how far he's willing to go to get rid of the people that he does not like. This also makes you question all the other illegal reapings that could have happened in the future. Katniss's games. I do love the story. It is filling in so many gaps as to why Haymitch is the way he is and his relationship with alcohol. It makes sense now. The book, however, is filled with so much love. Oh, Beattie's son. I actually had tears in my eyes, not where Beattie's son dies, but where Beattie explains why his son is in the games in the first place. He had to watch his son die in the games. But for him to stay strong many, many years later and still take down the Capitol, props to him. Maisley's character, oh my gosh, other than Beattie's son, is the one that I am most sad about. She had lots of layers to her, and I feel like as the book went on, we peeled back and peeled back. I think her character was the one I was most sad to lose. Snow, we still hate him. There's no good in Snow, man. I do find it funny how many mistakes Snow made throughout the whole series. I think that's a constant thing we continue to see. Like, he thinks he's sneaky with getting rid of his enemies with poisoning or sending them to the games, but in reality, he's keeping alive all of the people who could do him the most harm. So he caused his own downfall, and I think we really see that all come together in this game. I do love that we see a little bit more of the Mockingjay pen and where it came from, but since that portion has been changed in the movie, I wonder how they're going to integrate that into the up-and-coming movie. I hate the ending. I really hate the ending. It's very fitting for the series, but I freaking hate it. I do give this a 5 out of 5. I think it is a wonderful book. It puts a lot of our pieces together, and I don't know if you've seen, but we are getting the movie in November of 2026. I cannot wait to see this as live action. So there you have it, a total of 7 books. That's my reading wrap up for March.